right, let's try this story again for you. The Good Party welcoming the arrest of those 20 instigators expected to appear in the Durban Magistrates Court today. Let's speak to Brett Herron from the Good Party. He comes to us live from Cape Town. I'm hoping you can hear us now, Mr. Herron. So in your statement, you say that you deposed about 2 affidavits to the Hawks last year already. What was contained in those affidavits?
Hi, Maseko. Yes, at the beginning of August, I deposed to an affidavit and submitted evidence that was given to me by a whistleblower who had been added to 3 WhatsApp groups operating or launched in Durban shortly after former President Zuma was arrested. And the contents of those WhatsApp groups were the plans to attack malls, to shut down Durban, to bomb police stations, to close the airport, to shut off highways. And then there was video content of these activities actually taking place. So across those 3 WhatsApp groups, there was staggering evidence and information about both the planning of shutting down KwaZulu-Natal and in particular eThekwini, and then also evidence of the plans being implemented in the form of videos where people were filming what they were actually doing.
And this whistleblower, in South Africa, there's a growth with whistleblowers, and we always welcome the fact that they are able to come forward, but always the question is about their safety. Are you sure about this whistleblower's safety?
Well, I haven't disclosed the identity of the whistleblower. Late in August, I deposed to a second affidavit, which contained information that was given to me by the same whistleblower of a WhatsApp group that had been established in Johannesburg to shut down the economic hub of South Africa. So it was similar in its content to the 3 WhatsApp groups that came out of KwaZulu-Natal. Ultimately, the Hawks Crimes Against the State unit did meet with the whistleblower at my home, and the whistleblower handed over their telephone, which was the original source of the information. But at their identity is undisclosed, and that's the way we can protect them for now. But ultimately, the whistleblower will have to give evidence in court, and that will be up to the prosecuting authority as to how they handle the protection of the whistleblower.
Hopefully they are able to handle it. But also looking at some of the evidence that you say you actually were able to depose on behalf of the whistleblower last year to the Hawks, etc., Mr. Herron, it seems as though, as you say, this was a very well orchestrated and funded activity or insurrection, even though government at some point was arguing whether or not it was an insurrection indeed. But also, the sad realization probably from some South Africans, especially the poor in those neighborhoods that were so badly affected, realizing that they were actually used, they were possibly actually used to actually, fight another person's fight while they actually just became poorer.
Yeah, I think we must be clear that the evidence that I handed in were serious instigators calling themselves "Let's be the terrorists of South Africa." Let's bomb police stations. I mean, they even spoke about "Let's burn shacks" because those people undermine us. So they were targeting poor people as well in those in their attempts to cause mayhem and havoc in KwaZulu-Natal in particular. So they didn't really care about who they were using or inciting or encouraging to participate in looting. This wasn't about that. This was about bringing the country to a standstill and possibly overthrowing the state. So poor people were abused and used by the instigators that formed these WhatsApp groups and that were then arranging these attacks on malls and on state infrastructure like airports and the harbour.
But now, of course, we know that this is only the beginning or, another part of this entire story. We've had instigators arrested last year before. Their case is still pending, not even at a trial stage at the moment. The Hawks are saying they're still investigating other people, including the former president's daughter, etc. So the wheels of justice, of course, it doesn't mean that now that 20 more have been arrested, that South Africa will see this case to finality anytime soon.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was getting a bit frustrated, and I've kept in touch with the authorities as to the progress of their case. And obviously, in their investigations, they couldn't divulge a lot to me, but they kept me encouraged that there would be action. And then yesterday, we saw some of the action that I think comes directly out of the evidence that we handed in. We provided about 26 names that we could identify in these WhatsApp groups. But the wheels of justice do turn slowly. But I think for the whistleblower, for those who report serious crime, the fact that these arrests have taken place and the fact that it seems to arise directly out of the evidence we handed over is encouraging, that at least the law, it may turn slowly, but it does eventually turn and catch up with those who need to be interrogated through the criminal justice system.
All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Mr. Herron. And in fact, we have breaking news coming from the Magistrates Court in Durban. Our senior reporter, Des Ntathia, letting us know that those 20 instigators who appeared in that court today have gotten 3,000 Rand bail each. So they will be released from custody